Hi, welcome back to Movie Review Mom. Thanks for subscribing. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Hey, so I still haven't been to the theaters, and I don't know about you, but I've been watching a lot of stuff online and on different services. So I'm trying to introduce you to some films that you might not have discovered while you're binge watching during this pandemic and quarantine time. So here's a movie that I'm going to talk about today called Mortal. It's available on Hulu. And if you don't have Hulu, you'll have to listen to my review and see if it's worth getting Hulu. And of course, they have a free trial. So you could check that out. There's actually no rating for this film yet, but I would probably give it a rating of a PG-13 due to some blood and violence. Otherwise, it's pretty clean. It's an hour and 44 minutes, and the movie review mom grade I'm giving it is a B minus, and I'll tell you why. I'll give you a quick overview and point out some things I liked and didn't like, as well as some pointers for parents in case you want to see this movie with your kids. So, first, in a nutshell, this is a Norwegian film with English subtitles. However, there's quite a bit of English spoken, so don't let that scare you away too much. And honestly, I think it's actually pretty cool that a Norwegian would create a modern day version of sorts of a Norse god and that mythology that you actually are familiar with as well. It's kind of a dark origin story of a superhero, sort of, although the protagonist doesn't save a bunch of people. Marvel, this is not. And if that sounds like a good thing to you, then you might actually enjoy this movie. It was written and directed by Andre Overdahl, and I've never seen any of his other movies, but so I didn't quite know what to expect. But I've heard that some of his other films are actually better than this one. So if you enjoy this movie, you might like to check out Troll Hunter, The Autopsy of Jane Doe, and The Tunnel. And I found Troll Hunter and The Autopsy of Jane Doe on Amazon, but I couldn't find a link for it on for The Tunnel, which is also called Tunnelen. I'm assuming that's how you say tunnel in Norwegian. Now, some tips for parents are that you see a person with a lot of burned skin. Sometimes it looks very real and you're like, oh, and then other times it looks like makeup, but it's still always alarming when you see it because it's on large portions of a person's body. There's a person in the story who has a very difficult time controlling his emotions. So if you're a parent and you watch this movie with your kids, talk to your kids about how they can control their emotions and offer some helpful tips like meditation or prayer or self reflection or being brave enough to talk to you about their feelings, that kind of thing. Some people die in the movie, sometimes with blood, sometimes without. I didn't catch a lot of profanity, so that's good. And there might have been some in Norwegian, but the subtitles didn't reveal any profanity. So it's fairly family friendly in that regard. Now, some themes that the movie addresses are actually revealed in some lines. I'll tell you one line. For example, there's a sheriff or deputy or whatever he is, and he says, maybe we're not meant to understand everything. Dun, dun, dun. I thought a really positive theme was how it's very healing to have someone believe in you. Oftentimes, we go through patches of our life where we have a lot of negative self talk and we don't believe in ourselves, our abilities, or even in our own dreams. But if someone gives you encouragement and helps you to believe in yourself, that is so powerful. Religion is an interesting aspect of the story. There are some people that wonder if Eric, the protagonist, is actually a gift from God, like Jesus. And one of the characters even notes that if he is, he wants to be on the right side and help this person. Greek and Norse mythology are also a part of this story, as some people believe that the protagonist is a descendant of Thor. And there's even mention of Ragnarok and that kind of thing. So Thor fans might actually get a kick out of this movie. Other themes are fear and power. Now, some things that I really liked about the movie are, first of all, the very beginning of the film, you see this hand go into water, and you're like, what? Did the person drown? What's happening? Then the camera reveals some other things, but probably for the first, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, you have no clue what's going on. And that's a good thing. I really like a movie that pulls me in and I'm curious. So there's a really good element of intrigue as you're trying to figure out what's actually happening and who these characters are. You get to see some beautiful Norwegian landscapes. And I felt like I kind of got to take a little trip to Norway and experience that beautiful country. I've never been, but I have a very good friend who lives there. So I'm going to go someday. Hopefully, when travel starts to pick up and we're able to travel to other countries again. There are some special effects that actually look pretty cool. Like there's this one scene where a girl's hair just sort of stands on end, like when you touch one of those globes and your hair starts to stand up, kind of like that when there's electricity in the air. Some of the other special effects are really cool, some others not so much. And along those lines, some of the makeup looks really cool and others not so much. I really liked the design of the movie poster, and that might not seem like a big thing, but it drew me in and I wanted to know what the movie was about just by looking at it. The color palette of the movie is very dark and gray, which is actually perfect for a brooding story of mystery and danger. This is, again, not Marvel, where colors are bright and happy and there's humor and it feels very modern day. Even though this takes place in the modern day, again, all of the color tones set that mood for something much different. I loved the aspect of searching for one's family roots because, again, some people believe that this protagonist might be a descendant of Thor. So they're searching and they find some things. And my twin sister and I actually wrote a book about how to do just that. It has lots of how to information as you try to figure out how to find your ancestors, as well as some really cool stories about real people who had amazing experiences while they were researching their family tree. Anyway, you can check it out on Amazon, and here's the link. I'll also put the link down below. Now, for some things that I didn't really like, which is why I only gave the movie a B minus, the acting is not exceptional. And in fact, I've read several reviews of people who hated the actors and all of the characters in the movie. And I've seen worse, so I didn't think it was as bad as that. I actually thought that Nat Wolff and Ivan Ackerley, the two main characters, did fine and were believable. Sometimes, however, it's a little bit difficult to understand what people are saying because they talk so quietly. Some scenes are very dark, either at nighttime or something else is happening in a dark room, which will make viewing on a small device kind of difficult. So try to see it on a big screen if you can. There's not really any humor in the movie. It's very dark and very much a drama. So again, not like the typical fun Marvel movies that have some playfulness to them. The music was often too noticeable rather than supportive of the scenes that were on the screen. Sometimes when the music is noticeable, it's because I liked it so much. In this case, there were just some moments where it kind of pulled me out and reminded me I was watching a movie. Now, the biggest thing that I thought was odd was there's this one character played by Priyanka Bose, and her motivations just didn't make any sense to me. After being saved, she then tries to hunt down the protagonist to kill him, and we don't really know why. So, because that seemed so odd and irrational to me, I thought, oh, she must be a superhero villain and that there's going to be a fun reveal at the end of the movie. But no, nothing really happened with her character arc. It was such a missed opportunity and such a disappointment. Now, the movie ends where it could definitely lead into a sequel, And maybe we'll find out in that next movie, but I thought it would have been more powerful to reveal that at the end of this movie. And maybe she's not a superhero villain, in which case, I don't know why she was so determined to get rid of this protagonist. Now, if you enjoy this movie, you'll probably get a kick out of watching the Thor movies from the Avengers Marvel Cinematic Universe, although you probably have seen them already. But it's kind of an interesting collection that can take fans to a new place. And if you'd like to read some of the interesting lines from the movie, go run over to my website, moviereviewmom.com, and you can read some of those that I wrote there. Anyway, thank you again for spending a few minutes. I hope that you're safe and healthy and being kind out there. I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.